Coming up on Grace Lee Fitness.
What you want to. Please don't be polite, cause I like your attitude. Let's forget about a curfew, cause all that is stuck in my head.
Wait means wait, Reese's. You need to wait. Let's go back up the stairs. Reese is supposed to wait. Right, crazy one? So they say to have a great start to the day, you should make your bed. So we're gonna do that.
It's me and you, pulse speed and my heart is racing, but I'm not sure I wanna face it, cause it only does this with you. Our bodies meet, I can feel the tension, move us into the next dimension.
Say hi to the tubes, Reese. Hey, say hello. Crazy. What's up, you guys? It is now 11:41 and we're going to get the first meal of the day started. Clean a russet potato. Peel russet potato. I got this shredder. We're gonna shred the russet potatoes. Absorb as much of the liquid as possible with a dry paper towel. Preheat Teflon pan to, I guess, medium-high heat. Say hello to a corgi. Show you how I prep my hamburger part of this meal with 96 lean ground beef. This side, 4 ounces of the beef. And then I just pour in a little bit of egg whites, about that much, which is 7 grams. Some garlic powder. Mix it up with your hand. Form the patty. Put it into a ball first. And press down until it is to the thickness you want. And then I move this to get some nice sides going on. And there it is. Pan is nice and hot. Butter spray. Add hash browns. After about a minute, set a timer for 8 more minutes on medium heat. Flip semi-frequently. Reduce heat to medium. Set a timer for 8 minutes. I use these ballpark hamburger buns. 140 calories each. Macros, 1.5 fat, 26 carb, 4 protein. Just gonna get this prepped in the toaster oven so it's easy. We're gonna start preheating a cast iron skillet on medium heat for the burger. Seasonings, sea salt, black pepper. Add burger, season side down. Season again with salt and pepper. We're gonna flip in 3 minutes, so when that's at 20 seconds. 20 seconds left, we're gonna flip. 3 more minutes. Since hash browns are done, we're gonna go ahead and lower this to low heat just to keep it warm. About 2 minutes out from finishing, add 2% Kraft cheese. Toast the buns. Set burger on the side. The reason I do this is additional juices will come out of the burger. Spray the buns with some I can't believe it's not butter spray. Salt the hash browns. Add the burger to the plate. Now we're gonna build the burger. I like to put the lettuce on first. Add mustard. 0 calories, by the way. Reduced sugar ketchup is key. Saves a lot of carbs. 1 tablespoon is 1 carb. The normal ketchup has 5 carbs per 1 tablespoon. And then I like to put the onion, then the tomato like this, and then put it on top of the burger. I forgot this other lettuce. Right there. This has been my go-to early lunch, brunch / meal almost daily. And you guys may wonder, why don't you just make bigger fries? Well, hash browns are like mini fries to me, so each serving I'll put a few at a time, and it seems to last longer. It's just like my mindset of it. It goes much faster if it's like big fries, and I only get like 6 pieces or 10 pieces. But when I make them really small like this, it just seems to last longer. I'm also gonna eat this burger with some claws and pickles. Probably will have 2 of these. 1 slice is about 5 calories, or 1.5 slices, so 10 calories total for 2-ish pickles. By the way, 3 minutes per side cooks it to medium, and if you don't like pink in there, cook it longer. Alright guys, I'm craving something sweet, so I'm gonna have one of these soft and chewy bars. Really good macros, 100 calories, 2.5 fat, 18 carb, and 1 protein. So this kills my craving for like cookies and stuff. Guys, so the other day I had this huge craving for maple bars. And I even had a dream the night before about me making these donuts and trying to make them healthy. And I'll show you guys the reason why I try to bake my own donuts. Right. 1 maple bar, guys, like I just picked a generic like Safeway maple bar. It's 460 calories, 29 fat, 44 carb, 6 protein. But what killed me was the fat, 29 fat. I have like 49 grams of fats per day. That's like almost, you know, more than half of my fat. So I was like, that's not worth it. So I looked up this baked donut recipe, and I will link it down in the description box, but that's what I am going to do. First, preheat oven to 350 degrees. Measure 1/2 cup and 2 tablespoons of skim milk. Measure 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Measure out 7 grams of this butter, which is 1 tablespoon. Melt butter in microwave. I'll start with 10 seconds and go from there. So I did another 15 seconds. I'm gonna let this butter melt and set this aside here. Now we're gonna get the dry ingredients ready. We're gonna measure out 1 cup of this whole wheat flour. Measure 1/4 cup of Truvia. Measure out 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon salt. Alright, I melted the butter for 10 more seconds. We're going to add that to the wet ingredients. Then we're going to whisk the wet ingredients. Okay, wet ingredients are whisked. Now we're going to add them to the dry ingredients. And then we're going to stir. Mr. Reese wants some. We have our donut-shaped baking tray. I got this from Target, and I believe it was on sale for like 12 bucks or something. Wasn't too expensive, but we're gonna get some Pam butter spray, and then we're gonna spray it down. By the way, the recipe recommends to buy the spray that already has the flour in it, but I don't have that, so this actually still works. So I sprayed that, and then I'm just gonna put some flour in the donut sections, and then tap off any excess. And now we're gonna slowly pour in this mixture until 3/4 full, but you don't want to cover this middle part. This is actually easier to do with the ladle, so we're gonna do the rest with the ladle. Alright you guys, as you can see, the middle part still has some space right there, so let's put this in the oven. Put this in the oven, middle rack, 14 minutes. Alright, now we're gonna make the maple glaze. first start out with half a cup of confectioner's or powdered sugar. And then we're going to measure up 3/4 tablespoon of skim milk. Then 3/4 tablespoon full sugared maple syrup. I also weighed everything, so together everything's 82 grams. This is going to be important later. And then we're going to mix it. Don't worry, it'll become a glaze in a sec. Look at that, you guys. Beautiful. You guys, so now I'm going to break down to you guys this hack I guess I figured out. So I have my own recipes for things because you can't just trust a generic recipe when you're trying to be as accurate as possible. And because I'm home, it's just convenient because I already know exactly what's being put in what. I want to be as accurate as possible, but if I'm eating out, I'm not going to be able to gauge it very accurately and put my own individual ingredients. So what I do on MyFitnessPal is there's a section where you could create your own recipes. So I created my own maple glaze recipe, and all I did was add that I put the half cup of sugar, that I put the skim milk, and the maple syrup that I put. And then this is what I did for the servings, you guys. So each donut I found gets about 7 grams when I put it on, but my measurement and your measurement is going to be different. One of you guys might put 15 grams of maple syrup glaze or whatever. So that's going to make a huge difference in your macros. So remember how we measured the overall weight as 82 grams? So that's why I put 82 servings right here. So when we're going to macro it, what I do is I'll tear the scale, put on the glaze on the scale, tear it to 0, and then I'll dip the donut in, and then I will see what negative number that is. So say it was 7 grams, then I'll put that I had 7 servings of this maple glaze. You guys might think that's extreme, but since I'm so deep into this cut, everything really does count. Especially things that are calorically dense like maple glaze. If it was like lettuce, it'd be less serious, but the more fat and carbs something has, the more you want to weigh it. So that's why I do that, and that's a hack that I use not only for like glaze, but I did that for my own homemade white rice. I put exactly how much rice I use, and then I made it exactly the way I always make it. So I always put 50% water. It's always the same. And then I weighed it, measured it. So now I know exactly how many cooked rice I have for the macros. Because before I would use the generic ones on MyFitnessPal. But the problem with that is everybody cooks their rice differently. Some people put less water, some more. That water weight will contribute to the macros, if that makes sense. So that's what I do for everything now. Everything that's homemade. So it also works for chili, because if I was just living by myself and had one pot of chili, then of course I know, okay, if there's 4 servings and during the week I'll have exactly 4. So the macros will even out, right? But when you share some foods, like soups and stuff, it is really hard to know exactly how much is left in those macros, if it makes sense. So when you weigh it and you have the exact grams and numbers, you could just literally scoop out X amount of like 150 grams of soup. And then if you already did what I did in this hack, then you could just log exactly what you're having, and it works. So I hope this tip makes sense to you guys. But yeah, that's what I do now. Just went off. Gonna take these babies out of the oven. This is awkward to carry. Alright, so on some of them it looks like I put too much dough, so just gotta watch out for that next time, like on these two. But now I have a baking tray thingy. We're gonna plop these on there. There we go. Then we're just gonna let this set until it's room temperature. Also going to bake more donuts since I still have a good amount left over. So just finished putting the rest of them in. I have enough for about 11 because look at this one, it didn't fill up all the way. Just put the timer in for another 14 minutes for the second batch. Second batch is done, so we're gonna take them out. LOL at my special not done donut. Alright, plop them on here. Dang guys, look at that. My MyFitnessPal, I just put that I made 12 donuts in one of the batches because it's all gonna even out. So if I had 3 donuts and then I guesstimated how much maple glaze I'd have 46.9 carbs, 2 fat, 7.5 protons. You can't beat those macros, guys, because the other one, remember, it had like 29 grams of fat. Right, back to the donuts here. So these are the fresh ones. These are the room temperature ones. I can go ahead and glaze a few of these. Said teared the scale. It's at 0 grams. Here's the glaze. We're gonna go ahead and dip these donuts in the glaze. And I put a little bit of water on my finger and put it around the donut. I don't know if that helps, but it was in the instructions. Dip it in. Take it out. So, almost perfect. So that was negative 11. So that's a lot more than I usually would put. I'm gonna do it again. I don't want too much on this. So then that was negative 15. The more glaze you have on it, guys, the more calories you're gonna be eating. Alright, so negative 23 in total. Dang, look at how pretty that looks. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be real with y'all. This donut isn't exactly the same as the deep fried donut. Of course, it's baked. The texture, if I were to describe it, is like the texture of like carrot cake or banana bread, that kind of texture. But let's try one of these donuts. I'm gonna try the one with the lightest amount of glaze just because I want to get my day going and I don't want it too heavy. Guys, this definitely kills my cravings for a donut, but like I said, it's not exactly like the deep fried ones because the deep fried ones are made of like white flour, I believe. Deep fried, they're more fluffier, but this is pretty close. So it is about time for dinner, so I'm going to show you guys how I macro my kimchi stew. Okay, so we're going to first tear the scale, and then I'm going to add the beef for stew. Add 5.3 ounces of beef for stew. Add 6 ounces of kimchi. I got this at the store. I changed my mind. I added 8.3 ounces. Add a bit of water until the kimchi is covered. That's good. You could also add more kimchi juice if you think it needs more spiciness. With lid, bring to boil, then lower heat. Now that it's boiling, we're going to reduce the heat to about medium. And then we're going to reduce the heat again to low. Kimchi stew, the longer it cooks, the better it tastes since the kimchi gets really soft and then those flavors come out. And also I'm using beef for stew, which is a really lean cut of beef. Typically you'd want to use pork belly or something, and that provides more flavor from the fat. But since we're cutting, I'm not going to use pork belly. Because it's still boiling with the medium, we're going to reduce it down to pretty low right there and just let it simmer. Added flavor, I'm going to add some of this minced garlic. This is how it's looking, and if you're impatient and you want to eat the kimchi jjigae as soon as possible, just wait until the meat's cooked all the way and then you can eat it. Okay, so my kimchi stew is kind of drying out, so I'm going to add a little more water because a lot of it evaporated. And then we're going to taste test it in a sec. Guys, so this is what it's looking like. I'm going to taste it and see what it needs. Guys, so I'm going to add some of this beef broth powder. It's called dashita in Korean. We're going to add a bit of this and then we're going to mix it in. It just gives it more of a beefy flavor. And then we're going to stir it. And with Korean cooking, you guys, even the way my mom taught me how to cook Korean food is just tasting it. We never actually had a recipe book, so for kimchi stew, she just taught me to put the meat, put the kimchi, put the water, boil it, and after the meat is done cooking, to taste it. and add salt if you need to, or the tashita, the beef powder, or the red chili flakes if it needs more spice. Guys, I just cut up some of this seaweed. It looks like this, and then I cut up half a serving in here, which is 60 calories for 2 of those servings, which is half a pack. So it's going to be 5 fat, 2 carb, 2 protein. Pretty good macros. Now that the kimchi jjigae is basically done, you guys, I am going to add some of this firm tofu. It's Nasoya firm tofu, 3.5 fat, 2 carb, 8 protein. So this is about 1/5 of a serving. Dump it in there. And the reason why I don't put it in during the beginning is I don't want to smash up the tofu, since I'm constantly stirring and tasting my soup. So I like to put it in the end. By the way, tofu isn't for everyone. It's a taste preference, since tofu doesn't taste like anything, but the spiciness and the high sodium content of the kimchi stew offsets the tofu, and it's just really good together. Okay, so I have my dinner set up here. I like to eat my kimchi stew out of the pot. I got some diet ginger ale. I got 200 grams of white rice, 1 whole egg, the seaweed, and the kimchi stew with the tofu. Part is breaking the yolk and then kind of mixing it with the rice. Next meal or snack of the day, got 193 grams of strawberries. Gonna eat it with some of this fat-free Ready Whip. I'm gonna measure out about 15, there you go, 15 grams of this fat-free whipped cream, and I'll put the macros on the screen. Next snack, I'm about to have one of these donuts that I made earlier. A lot of the topping kind of absorbed into them. So pro tip, if you're making them for people, dip it like before you serve it, right before. Don't let it sit too long or else it's gonna soak up. So next thing I have is 21 grams of this barbecue pop chips. Then I'm gonna have half a serving of some baked Cheetos, and that's gonna finish off the macros for the day. So I did kind of go over my protein. I was supposed to hit 113 protein, but I believe I hit like 123 or 125. So I offset my carbs by 10 grams to basically even out the calories. So yeah, today's been a really good day full of eating, and I'll put the macros that I hit below on the screen right here. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a like. It really does help the channel out. And my goal with these full day of eating videos is to show you guys that you can stick to a diet without having to give up a lot of your guys' favorite foods. And then I don't know if you guys could tell, but like for the kimchi stew, usually it's made with pork belly, and I substituted the usual fattier meat with a leaner cut of meat. And like for things like the hamburger, I substituted the usual fattier cut of meat of hamburger with a leaner source. So you guys just need to make some switches like that to your favorite foods, and it can fit your macros. So yeah, you guys, I hope you guys liked it, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Before I end off the video, I also wanted to thank some people for texting me and messaging me about if I was okay or not. For those of you who did not know, I went to the ER yesterday because I was having severe abdominal pain to the point where I couldn't sleep. I could barely stand, and it just felt like someone was stabbing me with a knife inside of my body. So yeah, it's no bueno, but got through it and feeling better. Got some medication, so I am feeling and doing better now. But yeah, you guys, it was a bit scary. I had an IV. I actually absorbed 2 IV bags. Yeah, that's crazy. And they gave me some painkillers inside the IV, so the pain did come back here and there, but Yeah, that was one hell of a morning the other day. But yeah, thank you guys for caring enough to message me on Instagram and so forth. And yeah, you guys.
Let's just do what you want to. Please don't be polite, cause I like your attitude. Let's forget about a curfew, cause all that is stuck in my head.